Here, this is an Indonesian mosque, and it is typical of the earliest Indonesian mosques, and many Indonesian mosques are like that. There could also be some other photos that are even a little bit better. This is called a cosmic mountain. Okay, this is called a cosmic mountain. Indonesia was Hindu-Buddhist, and Indonesia had a rich symbolic legacy of Hindu-Buddhist culture. So when Islam came into Indonesia, it built its mosques, and the same thing was true of what is today Malaya. They built their mosques on the pattern of the cosmic mountain. The cosmic mountain is 4 pillars, and then usually it has 3 levels. And often it will be open. This mosque is not, but it will be open so that it's cool. And again, they take the symbols of the sacred and they make them their own. This is not a Hindu-Buddhist temple. It's a mosque, but it is very compatible with Indonesia. It looks very beautiful to Indonesians. These are Javanese shadow puppets. Okay? Javanese shadow puppets. And what do they have to do with our story? When Islam spread in Indonesia, it spread among rice peasants. And one of the greatest representatives of Islam in Indonesia was a great man. I love him very much, and I know his descendants. And his name was Kali Jagat, protector of the rivers. And he was a great saint, and his story is a very beautiful story. And I had a version of that story until I met his great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter, and she said, no, you're wrong about that, you're wrong about this. So I know his story better. It's a very beautiful story. But he is one of the main people who spread Islam in Indonesia, and he did jihad with puppets. So his jihad was with puppets, and he designed the Javanese puppet, shadow puppets. And in fact, in the beginning, he began to use the typical traditional puppets. And again, this is a Javanese puppet. This might not be, this is more like a traditional puppet. But the traditional puppets were fatter. And there was one of the saints whose name was Sunan Giri. And he was also great. And he's a contemporary of Kali Jagat. And he was using puppets. He said, no, you can't do that. You can't use these images. And so he said, okay. And so he came back and he designed the Javanese puppets. Again, my assistant picked these, and I have some better examples. But he created Javanese puppets that are very skinny. Some of these are that way. You see, like this. They're very skinny. And then he said, could these live? And Sunan Giri said, no. He said, then I'll use these. And they're also more beautiful. And they're more Javanese. And then he made up beautiful stories. And he also took the gamelan music. Have any of you heard gamelan music? Do you like it?
It's like, we are not used to these sounds, but it's...
That's right. You have to get used to it. I like it very much, but not in the beginning. It's very different music. But he also took the gamelan music and he reinterpreted it. And he redefined all the symbols. Green, white, 1, 2, banyan trees, everything. For example, before the cosmic mountain, you'd often have 2 banyan trees. Of course, banyan trees are the trees under which the Buddha received his enlightenment. So they're very important in Buddhist culture. And usually between the palace and the mosque, or the temple, there would be 2 banyan trees. So he said 2. Wherever you see 2 strings, 2 trees, banyans, it means La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. It's the Shahada. And he's really a beautiful man. He also taught the people new ways to raise rice. He helped them to raise their rice better. And, this was a peasant society. And it's an aristocracy. This is the way Indonesia and Malaysia and these countries were. Very class-oriented. Even in Japanese, you have a way, just like in German, you have Essen und Fressen, right? And in Japanese, you have Essen for a particular elite. You have a different type of verb for different classes, and you have a different word for the lower classes. It's caste language. But he was able to help the peasants farm better. And he was himself an aristocrat. So he gave himself to the people, he taught, he used the music, he used the puppets. And again, he uses these cultural forms. And he has incredible stories that he tells with the puppet shows. And the puppeteer, and he made up stories about the encounter between Hamza and Vishnu, and the encounter between Shiva and Yusuf and things like that. He makes up stories. But in that he's teaching morality. And most of the Indonesian peasants, until the colonial period and the post-colonial period, they learned Islam through puppet shows. They learned their values through puppet shows. We'll go to India, and here I want to begin with this. This is a facsimile of a mosque. Actually, there's about 13 mosques like this, and you can pick some different examples. This is said to be the oldest mosque in India, and it's in Kerala, which is a very beautiful part of India on the western coast. That's where Islam first came to India, and that was in the late 7th, early 8th century. And I've seen many of these mosques. Again, this is in a museum. But here, the design is very beautiful for the region. And my assistant could have picked some other ones as well. But some of the other ones are very clearly cosmic mountains. This one is not so clearly, it does have the cosmic mountain design, but not so clearly. Whereas a lot of the other ones are also that cosmic mountain, the 4 poles, the 3 roofs and so forth. And, so again, they are building a type of architecture that suits southern Indian culture. And it is not a rupture or a break with the traditions that are there. And those of you who know about the subcontinent, you know that there's a huge cultural difference between the north and the south. And they respected the south with this type of architecture. Now I want to go to the Taj Mahal. This is, of course, a completely different, this is the north. The north is very different. And even the Hindu temples of the north are very different. If you build the northern Hindu temple in the south, which Hindus often do today, it jars with the culture. It's a very different culture. But in the north, of course, you develop this kind of architecture. This is the Taj Mahal. All of you know that. And it is a beautiful synthesis of Central Asian elements, Persian elements, and also Indic elements. And again, I just want to pick it. We'll look at some other pictures because they're so beautiful. That what the Mughals did in building this, and of course the mosques they built, the beautiful architecture they built, the cities they built, is that they found a medium that pleased everyone. To the extent that just as St. Basil's Basilica is like the logo of Russia, this is like the logo of India, isn't it? And Indians are proud of this, and who wouldn't be proud of it? But again, it is tapping into the cultural ethos, of the Mughal Empire, and of the Hindus, and the Jains, and also the Christians, the ancient Christians who were there, and others. And it's something that is just remarkably beautiful. And in Islam, many of us believe that architecture is the supremest form of art. Beauty is the splendor of truth. Beauty is very, very important in our culture. and in all cultures. And the more that you have truth, the more that you will have beauty. But, the beauty that is here is just spectacular. How many of you have been to the Taj Mahal? I had the honor to go to the Taj Mahal. My friend who took me there, he said, we were going to many places in India, and he said, we go to the Taj Mahal on the night of the full moon. And we went there on the night of the full moon. I couldn't leave. And it is one of the most, and in the daytime it's incredibly beautiful. And there are other buildings there that you may not know about. And I told him it's all moving. Can't you see that? It's all moving. And another thing about it as well, and we're not here to talk about architecture, but beautiful architecture is tectonic. Who knows what tectonic means? That's a difficult word. Tectonic, very important word. It means it fits the earth. It fits the earth. And Islamic architecture was always tectonic. Meaning, and I could give you examples of that. So it doesn't just respect the culture, it respects the mountains and the streams, and it fits in the earth. And this is incredibly beautiful, isn't it? But modern architecture, and of course there are beautiful types of modern architecture, but the type of modern architecture which is not especially beautiful, it's not tectonic. It doesn't fit the earth. And I would say it's saying, here am I. Look at me. Whether I'm ugly or beautiful, look at me. And this architecture, is it saying, look at me? Maybe you think it says that, but when you're there, you look at the heavens, and you look at the earth, and you look at the river. And in the full moon, you can't believe. The whole thing moves. So it is perfectly tectonic. And it is an architectural wonder. But then also it is extremely culturally sensitive. When I was there in Agra, these are also other pictures. These are other mosques. That's the Taj Mahal. And this is, I think, this is one of the buildings that is on the side of the Taj Mahal. And that's actually a mosque.